The ride that shouldn't have been. I never thought something like this could happen to me. I'm still shaking just thinking about it. It started as a regular night. I had stayed late at work, exhausted and eager to get home. Ordering an Uber seemed like the safest, easiest choice. I stepped outside into the cool night air, the street lamp flickering above me. My phone buzzed. The driver was just around the corner. I spotted the car pulling up, a black sedan, older model, nothing flashy. I checked the app quickly, glanced at the driver's name and picture. But in my tiredness, I didn't compare the license plate carefully. I just opened the door and slid inside. The car smelled faintly of something I couldn't place, old leather and something metallic. The driver didn't say a word, just nodded as I buckled my seatbelt. I pulled out my headphones, ready to drown out the silence with music. But as the car started moving, something felt off. Instead of heading toward the main road, he took a sharp turn into a quieter, darker neighborhood. I frowned and looked up from my phone. "Is this the right way?" I asked, trying to sound casual. He didn't answer. I caught a glimpse of his eyes in the rearview mirror. They were cold, distant, not at all like the friendly picture on the app. My stomach twisted. The streets grew emptier. The houses disappeared behind thick trees. The streetlights were few and far between. My heart began to race. I tried calling my friend to tell her I was on my way, but the call dropped immediately. No signal. Panic crept in. "Please," I said quietly, "can you turn around? I think this isn't the way." He finally spoke, low and rough. "Just a shortcut. Relax." But it didn't feel like a shortcut. The road narrowed and the trees pressed close to the windows, like dark fingers. I noticed the door locks click. The child safety locks were on. I tugged at the handle. It wouldn't budge. My pulse thundered in my ears. I looked for my phone to check GPS, but the screen was dead. No charge. No signal. The car slowed and stopped in front of an old warehouse, crumbling and covered in graffiti. My breath hitched. He turned off the ignition and faced me, a twisted smile spreading across his face. "You're coming with me." My body screamed to run, but the door was locked. Desperately, I grabbed the flashlight from the glove compartment. The beam flickered weakly, but was enough to light the grim shadows of the abandoned building. He opened his door and stepped out, moving toward me with a slow, deliberate pace. I knew I had to make a choice. Stay and be taken, or risk everything and run. I yanked the door open and bolted into the night, branches whipping my face, heart pounding like a drum. His footsteps crashed behind me, closer and closer. The darkness surrounded me. I screamed for help, my voice breaking the silence, but only the cold wind answered. Then, through the trees, I saw a faint glow, the road. I ran toward it, waving my arms frantically. A car slowed, headlights piercing the night. I collapsed in front of it, tears streaming down my face. The driver stopped, opened the door, and called the police. I gave them all the details I could remember. They found the car miles away, abandoned, but the man was gone. That night, I realized how fragile safety really is, how quickly normal can turn into horror. Now, every time I get into a ride, I check everything: the license plate, the driver's face, the route. I trust my instincts because ignoring them almost cost me my life. If you hear my story, please be careful. Don't take safety for granted. And if something feels wrong, don't hesitate to act. Your life could depend on it. And number 2, the Lyft ride from hell. I remember the night so clearly, like it's carved into my mind in sharp relief. I was at that little dive bar downtown. Just me, a few drinks, and some friends who left early. I stayed behind because I wasn't ready to go home yet. I wasn't thinking clearly. I was tipsy, maybe more than I should have been. When I finally decided it was time to leave, I pulled up the Lyft app. The driver's name popped up, Jason. His picture was normal enough. Nothing stood out. He showed up in a dark blue sedan, windows tinted. He had that easy smile, the kind that puts you at ease. I got in, and for a minute, I thought this was just another ride home. But as he pulled away from the bar, I noticed he wasn't heading toward my neighborhood. Instead, he took a winding route through parts of town I didn't recognize. Old industrial areas, empty streets lit by flickering street lamps. I asked him, "Hey, this doesn't look like the way to my place. Are you sure you know where you're going?" He chuckled, but it was low and unsettling. "Relax, I know a shortcut. You'll get home faster." I tried to laugh it off, but unease crept over me. The roads grew darker, and the car's interior felt colder somehow. My phone suddenly lost signal, so I couldn't call or message anyone. We stopped at a rundown house on the edge of town, the kind of place you see in horror movies. The paint peeling, windows boarded up, overgrown weeds choking the yard. Before I could react, he grabbed my arm and dragged me inside. The door slammed behind us, and that's when I realized I was trapped. The house smelled like decay. The floor was sticky and the flickering bulb overhead barely lit the room. Then came the sound of metal clicking. I looked down to see handcuffs locking me to the rusty bed frame. "Please," I begged, voice shaking. "Let me go." He didn't say a word, just smiled that eerie smile. Hours later, I woke up with a pounding headache. The cuffs bit into my wrist, cold and unforgiving. I was alone in that shadow-filled house, heart racing like a trapped animal. I examined the cuffs carefully. They weren't secured properly. I gritted my teeth and wiggled my wrist, struggling until the cuff finally slipped free. Freedom, but nowhere to go. The house was a labyrinth, dark, dusty rooms stretching on endlessly. I could hear him moving around, maybe preparing something. The silence was thick and suffocating. I crept through the hallways, trying doors. Most were locked, but one finally gave way. I slipped inside and found a narrow stairwell leading to the basement. My breath caught. The basement was pitch black, but I had no choice. I descended carefully, every noise amplified. Suddenly, I heard footsteps above. He was upstairs searching for me. I ran through the basement, dodging broken furniture and piles of debris. Then I saw a window, tiny, barred, but one bar was loose. I tore at it, heart pounding until it gave way enough for me to squeeze through, scraping my skin on the rusted metal. I fell outside onto cold grass and didn't stop running until I found a streetlight and a neighbor's front porch. That night broke something inside me, but it also gave me a strength I didn't know I had. I learned to trust my gut, to never ignore the warning signs. If you ever feel something's wrong, don't hesitate. Fight. Run. Your life might depend on it. Number 3, the unseen passenger. I've been driving Uber at night for a few years now. You get all kinds of passengers. Some are friendly, some are quiet. And then there are those who just give you a bad feeling. You learn to trust your gut. But sometimes, even your gut gets blindsided. That night was supposed to be routine. My last pickup was at a grocery store out near the far edge of town. The app showed the destination already set, a house about 45 minutes away. Not the usual short trip, but nothing weird. At least, that's what I thought. When I arrived, I saw him waiting by the entrance, a big guy. Bigger than me, solid build. But what caught me off guard wasn't his size, it was his face. He had this smile that didn't feel natural. It was like it was painted on, stretched too wide, hanging there no matter what. The kind of smile you see in nightmares. He stared at me through the rearview mirror the entire time, unblinking, like he was watching the back of my head, memorizing. I felt my skin crawl. He got into the back seat without a word. No greeting, no small talk. Just that frozen smile. I started the car, pulled out, and headed toward the destination. The ride was suffocating. The radio cut out halfway through. My phone lost signal completely. No GPS, no music, no calls. Just the dark road ahead and the weight of his gaze. The city lights faded behind us. The streets narrowed. Trees loomed on either side, black silhouettes against the night sky. I stole glances in the mirror. His eyes never left the back of my head. The silence was thick, broken only by the hum of the engine and the crunch of tires on gravel. Finally, we arrived. The house was worse than I imagined. Old, falling apart, windows dark and empty. No streetlights anywhere nearby. Just darkness. He told me to stop and wait. I parked, watching as he walked up to the door and disappeared inside. Minutes dragged on, heavy and slow. 10, 15, more. My muscles tensed, the silence pressing in on me. I was tired, cold, and ready to get home. I reached to end the ride manually. Suddenly, the door slammed open. He came running out, something in his hand, too dark to tell what. My heart slammed into my throat. I fumbled for the door locks, trying to hit the lock button, but my fingers slipped and I accidentally pressed unlock. Before I could react, he was in the car, slamming the door behind him. "Drive," he growled, voice low and dangerous. I told him I needed to enter the destination into the app first. He exploded in rage, yelling, cursing, threatening. I was terrified. I started the car and took off. We drove deeper into the woods, trees closing in tight around the narrow road. The darkness felt alive, pressing in from every side. I tried to ask him where we were going. No answer. Just that same cold stare. When we finally stopped, he jumped out and vanished into the thick brush. The next morning, I was glued to the TV. A manhunt for an escaped convicted murderer was underway. They showed his face, the same unnatural, chilling smile. I felt the room spin. I had unknowingly driven a killer through the night. Since then, I never take a ride for granted. Every strange smile, every silent stare, it all reminds me of that night. Because sometimes, the people you think you're just driving home, they're running from something far worse.